Welcome to Spectrum News at 12. I am Rita Inung, coming to you live from Uyo. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Tinubu pledges to deepen fight against terrorism. Governor Moino performs groundbreaking of renewed Hope Housing Estate at Ekpene Ukim, Urwan local government area. Plus, world leaders criticize President Trump's climate policies at COP30. Details of these stories and more in a moment. Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned. We begin the news this afternoon from the national scene where President Bola Tinubu has pledged his administration's resolve to deepen global engagement and intensify the fight against terrorism and criminality. The president spoke shortly after an economic briefing by the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edu, who reported the Federal Executive Council meeting yesterday that the administration's reform agenda continues to stimulate investors' confidence and deliver notable economic gains. According to the president, the government remains firmly committed to moving the country forward under the renewed hope agenda. Despite prevailing political and security pressures, he also acknowledged the scale of the security and economic challenges confronting the nation. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has sworn in the newly appointed ministers Dr. Bernard Doro and Kingsley Uday at a brief ceremony held inside the Council Chamber of the State House, Abuja. The swearing-in took place shortly before the commencement of the Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by the President yesterday. Dr. Doro, a pharmacist and lawyer from Plateau State, fills the ministerial vacancy created by the former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Professor Nentawe Yiltwada, who is now the national chairman of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, while Uday, a senior advocate of Nigeria from Enugu State, will be filling the vacancy created by the resignation of former Minister of Science, Innovation and Technology, Uche Nnaji, who resigned following allegations of certificate forgery. And in the meantime, President Tinubu has ordered a strict prohibition on the sale or transfer of any properties owned by the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, FAN, located within or adjacent to airport areas. The Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, revealed the policy during a briefing with State House reporters following the Federal Executive Council meeting in Abuja. Keyamo clarified that the order superseded any asset liquidation efforts from prior governments, underscoring that the holdings were vital national resources that must stay in public hands. He highlighted the necessity of on-site housing for critical staff such as firefighters and air traffic controllers to enable swift crisis interventions, a key rationale for preserving these sites. Also, President Tinubu has approved the establishment of the Federal University of Science and Technology, Ekpe, Lagos State, marking the end of a 7-year memorandum earlier imposed by the federal government on the creation of new tertiary institutions. The approval was formally announced by Senate President Godswill Akpabio during yesterday's plenary session, where he confirmed that the President had signed the Federal University of Science and Technology, Ekpe, Establishment Bill 2025 in law. According to him, the Senate had earlier transmitted the authenticated version of the bill to the President, who returned 2 certified copies bearing his signature, thereby completing the legal process for the institution's establishment. He also praised the President for his continued investment in the education sector, describing the decision as a demonstration of his commitment to expanding access to quality, specialized higher education across the country. Away from that, the Vice President Kashim Shettima has announced that Nigeria has set a target to cut its greenhouse gas emissions by 32% by 2035. Shettima announced this at the Leaders Climate Summit during the COP30 conference in Belém, Brazil, representing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The Vice President said the new targets reaffirms Nigeria's leadership in Africa's climate action efforts and reflects a firm commitment to global sustainability. The reduction plan, he explained, will be driven by two flagship initiatives, the National Carbon Market Framework and the Climate Change Fund, designed to attract billions of dollars in clean energy investments and support climate adaptation across vulnerable communities. Shettima noted that Nigeria has also launched a 5-year carbon market roadmap to establish an emission trading system and carbon tax regime, encouraging industries to innovate sustainably. In another development, the newly appointed Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Wahidi Shaibu, has promised to prioritize the doctrine of soldier first during his tenure. He hinted at the need to make changes in the appointment of commanders within a few weeks. Shaibu, who was the theater commander in the Northeast before his appointment, stated this while addressing reporters in Borno during his first operational visit as the Army Chief. He expressed that the welfare of the soldiers would not only stop the front line, but would be extended to their families as well. Elsewhere, the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Egbetokun, has said that the nation's security services has embraced all-of-society approach in combating banditry, other threats confronting the country. Egbetokun said this while addressing reporters at the Lagos Police Command in Ikeja, while laying the foundation for the construction of a multi-layered conference center. The IGP said security cannot be provided in silos, stressing that there must be synergy with other agencies and all communities for Nigeria to contain insecurity. The IGP added that the force was ready to enforce a hitch-free festive period for Nigerians. On electoral matters, the coalition of accredited observers has rated the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) highly for its preparation ahead of the Anambra State governorship election scheduled for Saturday, November 8. The group, in a press briefing, also expressed satisfaction with the level-ofness among the people of Anambra, while calling the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) to arrest vote buyers. The coalition, which comprises over 350 observers deployed across the 21 local government areas of the state to assess the preparedness of key electoral actors, said they were satisfied with the readiness of all groups involved in the process. The group added that it would also monitor the conduct of Saturday's election and the behavior of the electorate thereafter. And back here, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Omoino yesterday performed the groundbreaking of the construction of the renewed Hope Housing Estate at Ekpene Ukim in Uruan local government area. Performing the ceremony, the governor said the event was a testament of the intergovernmental collaboration between the state and the federal government. He expressed gratitude to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the Federal Housing Authority for choosing Akwa Ibom for the flag-off. He noted that the housing initiative aligns with his administration's commitment to tackling the state's housing deficit and assured the project managers of adequate support, including the provision of adequate security to ensure smooth and speedy execution. Government House correspondent Jane Uwa reports that goodwill messages were received from the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Federal Housing Authority, Oyetunde Ojo, the Chairman, Commissioning Committee and Executive Director, Estate Services of the Authority, Architect Ezekiel Inya Etok, Board Chairman Ibom Mortgage Bank, and the Managing Director of FMHA Mortgage Bank Limited, who applauded President Tinubu and Governor Moino for their collaborative effort in expanding access to affordable housing in Nigeria. They prayed for divine wisdom and blessing upon both leaders as they strive to improve the welfare of citizens through sustainable housing initiatives. And now to Africa, where the Sudanese paramilitary rapid support forces has says it has agreed to a humanitarian truce proposed by a U.S.-led mediator group. The RSF seized control of North Darfur's besieged capital El Fasher in late October after more than 18 months of fighting. The RSF spokesperson Al Fatah Bashar noted that rapid response forces affirm their agreement to enter the humanitarian truce proposed by the United States of America, the United Arab Emirates, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and the Arab Republic of Egypt. According to Bashir, the agreement aims to address the catastrophic humanitarian consequences of the war and to enhance the protection of civilians through the completion of the provisions of the humanitarian truce agreement, enabling the urgent delivery of humanitarian aid to all Sudanese people. On the foreign scene, President Donald Trump has reportedly come under criticism as world leaders voiced concerns over his stance on climate change during the COP30 summit in Belém, Brazil. According to reports, the U.S. president, who is absent from the gathering in the Amazonian city, faced backlash for his continued rejection of climate science and the rolling back key in environmental policies. Reports say the presidents of Chile and Colombia strongly criticized Trump's position, urging other nations not to follow the U.S. example in withdrawing from climate commitments. And still on the foreign scene, Peru's Congress has voted to declare Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum as the persona non grata unwelcome in the country. The decision comes days after Peru severed diplomatic ties with Mexico after Mexican government granted asylum to a former Peruvian Prime Minister, Betsy Chavez, facing charges for a 2022 coup attempt. Mexico stated that they offered Chavez asylum in accordance with international law and rejected Peru's accusation that it was an unfriendly act. The declaration, passed in a 63-33 vote in Peruvian Congress, marks the latest escalation in the worsening ties between the two Latin American nations. And still to come in the news. Mirassol scores a Genk edge after Braga in UEFA Europa League. Stay tuned for details of this and more in a moment.
Broadening your horizon is what every living being not only genuinely desires, but heartily pursues and intentionally invests in. For in the gathering of men, only those whose minds are in tune with the dynamics of the past, present, and future innovations, inventions, politics, and governance are respected. We are Spectrum Television, and broadening your horizon is our obsession. Risk on your decoder now to connect Spectrum Television on the frequency 12589, symbol rate 26250. That is frequency 12589, symbol rate 26250. Polarization horizontal, and join our online community at spectrumtvlive.ng. For further enquiries, please call 0704 158 5642 or 0704 541 7707. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Many thanks for staying tuned and welcome back to Spectrum News within the hour. Continuing from the business scene, the Chief Executive of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, Gbenga Komolafe, has expressed optimism that Nigeria's crude oil output will soon witness a significant boost following the completion of a new offshore production facility. Komolafe expressed his excitement in a statement issued by the Commission's Head of Media and Strategic Communications, Eniola Akinwotu, after an official visit to Dubai Dry Docks, World in United Arab Emirates, where he inspected the floating production storage and offloading vessel, which is currently undergoing final conversion works. The visit formed part of the Commission's regulatory oversight function to assess the vessel's sail-away readiness ahead of the deployment to Nigerian waters. In health, the federal government has unveiled new agricultural reforms aimed at ending hunger, boosting food production and reducing post-harvest losses, estimated at over $10 billion annually, in line with President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda for food security and national prosperity. The Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari, and the Minister of State, Senator Aliyu Abdullahi, announced this through a significant statement yesterday. Kyari said agriculture remained the backbone of Nigeria's economy and the key to national renewal. He explained that the government's ongoing reforms were designed to end hunger, ensure food sufficiency, and drastically reduce post-harvest losses, draining the nation's agricultural value chain. And still in health, the Senate has ordered the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, to enforce the ban on production and sale of alcoholic drinks in sachets and small plastic bottles by December 2025, insisting that there will be no further extension of the deadline. The directive followed a motion sponsored by Asukwo Ekpeyong, who expressed concerns over the repeated postponement of the ban despite the rise in health and social problems linked to the consumption of cheap alcohol. Ekpeyong noted that NAFDAC had shifted the phase-out date several times from 2023 to 2024 and later to 2025 due to pressure from manufacturers. He warned that any additional delay would amount to a betrayal of public trust and a violation of Nigeria's commitment to global health standards. The motion enjoyed bipartisan support, with senators condemning the growing sale of high alcohol content sachet drinks across the country. Senate President Godswill Akpabio, who presided over the session, said the issue was both a moral and national health emergency, decrying the rise in cases of underage drinking, road accidents and domestic violence linked to easy access and affordability of sachet packaged alcohol, describing them as silent poisons undermining productivity and family stability. After adopting the motion, the Senate directed NAFDAC and the Federal Ministry of Health to fully enforce the prohibition nationwide and reject any future appeals for deadline extensions. And now to sports, where Nigerian winger Yira Sow was in target for Genk in their 4-3 win away to Sporting Braga in UEFA Europa League match yesterday in Portugal. It was Sow's first goal in 2 matches in the season's campaign. Sow found the back of the net in the 48th minute to put Genk 2-1 ahead and was replaced on goal. And still in sports, the coach of Gabon, Thierry Muyama, has said that he is devising a special tactical approach to contain Victor Osimhen during their 2026 World Cup qualifying playoff. He described the Galatasaray hitman as an unpredictable striker. Osimhen featured in 5 matches during the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers due to fitness concerns. However, he remains the main reason Nigeria still harbors hopes of qualifying for the tournament, having made a remarkable impact with 6 goals. On the entertainment scene, actress Regina Daniels has broken down in tears over ongoing family struggles. In an emotional video on her Instagram story, she expressed despair, stating that she was struggling emotionally and mentally. Regina said her current struggle is centered on her brother Sammy's detention for days. The actress hinted at returning to her husband, stating that she did not know what she was begging for. And that's all we have for you on the news at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtvlive.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 12. I am Rita Inum. Enjoy the rest of your day.